राज्यसभा टीवी का ये बेहद ख़ास प्रोग्राम है गुफ्तगू, और गुफ्तगू में आज हैं हमारे साथ पोएट, राइटर, जर्नलिस्ट CP सुरेंद्रन। CP सुरेंद्रन कवि, उपन्यासकार और पत्रकार के रूप में अपनी पहचान बनाने वाले CP सुरेंद्रन पहली बार फिल्मों में पटकथा लेखक के तौर पर हाथ आजमा रहे हैं। गौरहरी दास्तान द फ्रीडम फाइल नाम की फिल्म उनका पहला प्रयास है। इस फिल्म का प्रीमियर गोवा में शुरू हुए 45वें अंतर्राष्ट्रीय फिल्म समारोह में होना है। CP ने दिल्ली से इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में MA किया और यहां से मुंबई जाने के पहले कुछ साल कालीकट यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाया भी। पत्रकारिता और लेखन में समांतर रूप से सक्रिय CP को बड़ी और असली पहचान तब मिली जब उनका पहला कविता संग्रह प्रकाशित हुआ। कविताओं के अलावा उन्होंने 2 उपन्यास भी लिखे हैं, एन आयरन हार्वेस्ट और लॉस्ट एंड फाउंड। CP सुरेंद्रन आजकल अंग्रेजी अखबार DNA के एडिटर इन चीफ हैं। वेलकम टू द शो सर।
थैंक यू।
CP हमें बताइए कि ये जो आपकी लिखी हुई शायद पहली फिल्म होगी, गौरहरी दास्तान, ये फिल्म किस बारे में है?
अच्छा, गौरहरी दास्तान तो एक 83 ईयर ओल्ड आदमी है। वो बोरविली के सामने दहीसर करके कोई छोटा जगह है बम्बई में, उधर रहते हैं। सो ही वॉज अ फ्रीडम फाइटर था एक, व्हेन ही वॉज अ चाइल्ड गोइंग टू स्कूल लॉन्ग बैक। वो गांधी जी का वानर सैन्य में कोई सीक्रेट मैसेज स्मगल करता था। एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंड वाज दैट ओवर द इयर्स ही ग्रू अप, एवरीबडी ग्रू अप, वर्ल्ड चेंज्ड, and he forgot about his freedom struggle. And everybody forgot about it. 4 decades later, 40 साल के बाद, when he claimed, when he said that he was a freedom fighter, no one believed him. So, including his family. So what he did was then to fight for his recognition for 32 years. So वो चलता रहता था, मंत्रालय, सेंट्रल ऑफिसेस, ब्यूरोक्रेट्स ऑफिसेस, अप एंड डाउन। इज अ गांधीयन को दूसरा रास्ता नहीं है। सो ही stoically going up and down. So at the end of 32 years, when he was 73 or 72, he got the Tamrapatra finally. So in his life, he fought 2 freedom struggles. One against the British and one against Indians. So this story is based on his life. But ये movie है, feature movie है, इसलिए हम fictionalize करना होगा, तो we did that. So when Anand Mahadevan, who was the director of the movie, came and approached me and said that, you know, this is the story, I was not interested. कोई interest नहीं था, because you know, in the first place the subject is boring. आज के ज़माने में 1947 का freedom struggle, who is interested actually? And also I am not into these long, you know, seemingly boring subjects. You know, it doesn't interest me. I am a different kind of writer. So मैंने बोला, I'm not interested, you look for someone else. So एक महीने के बाद he approached me again, said, let us go visit him. तो हमने एक टैक्सी लेके हम गया दहीसर बोरीवली साइड। I met him in his society, a small society. बहुत simple man है, not at all impressive. कोई ड्रामा नहीं था। So I said, what am I supposed to do for 9300 scenes? क्या करें इसे? Then Anand showed me some reports, and then I realized that maybe it is not about freedom struggle. It is about you and me. It is about unknown Indians, and their fight for their identity. इसका जो व्यक्तित्व है, that existential identity, that is what it's about. So when you are a young child or a young man, all of us have done few things in our life. But if someone tells you that is of no value, whatever you have gone through is of no value, in effect what they are saying is that your past doesn't exist. जो past है आपका, वो इसका, there is no value to it. So you are as good as a man without an identity. So if somebody has actually fought for freedom struggle and that is his past, and now you are telling him that is of no consequence to us, I mean things have changed, is actually then fighting for his time, his life, what he did with his time, his honor, sense of honor, purpose, everything. So yeah, in a biopic, there are lots of biopics. Bhag Milka Bhag. You have biopics on Mary Kom. You have biopics on Muhammad Ali. I am a great fan of Muhammad Ali. So these are all very well-known heroes. So you are cashing in on a well-known brand. But then when you talk about a man who is unknown, you don't know who this guy is, whose market value is. You have to be very careful because you have to understand what is central conflict is in the personality, where to cut it off and build from there. There has to be a setup, there has to be a confrontation, there has to be a resolution. The three normally I said three stages है एक cinema में होना चाहिए, makes your structure more relevant and intelligent. So there was, in this point, we did have that cutoff, we had that setup, we have the confrontation, we had the resolution. But the problem was then, I said movie mein how to give it a timeline. See, when we do something, for example, you are shooting me, it has to be done against a time frame. You don't have entire day to shoot. You have to shoot in say 1 or 2 hours. So that is your problem. It's like children, बच्चे exam लेते हैं. They have to finish so many questions in so many minutes. That's the problem. So here then I introduced. My father was a writer in Malayalam. He was a very well-known writer, and I actually had to see the language he lived by slipping away from him because of Alzheimer's. So he died of Alzheimer's. So in here, I actually gave, to introduce a fictional element, I gave an Alzheimer's first stages problem to Gaur Haridas. So that then he had to write to Abdul Kalam, the president, she actually did, saying that before I forget the meaning of the word freedom, please give me my recognition. So then he had to race against time now because, before forgetfulness engulfs him. दूसरा है the complementary characters like the journalist. There's a journalist who is a rebel and a drunk in this. He is talking about corporatist media, the kind of problems a lot of journalists face now.
16,000 से बढ़कर 53,000.
Those problems are represented by him, and in this journalist revolt, he is enacted very powerfully by Ranveer Shore. So, and there's a whole cast of characters, Ranveer Shore, Konkana Sen, Rajit Kapoor, Vikram Gokhale, Shaurabh Mishra, Shaurabh Shukla, Tanishta Chatterjee, and they're brilliant performances. They make 5 or 10 minutes, they're brilliant performances, unforgettable performances. And Vinay Pathak in the role of this Gandhian, Gaur Haridas, I think is probably his lifetime performance.
आप चाहते हैं कि मैं आपका केस है?
The sound is by Rasul Pukuti, who's an Oscar winner. Music is by L. Subramaniam, the musician.
इस लड़ाई में मैं आपके साथ हूँ।
हम आपका यकीन क्यों करें?
बिल्डिंग में सब कहने लगे कि आप पागल हो गए।
मेरे बाबा झूठ क्यों बोलेंगे सर?
सच्चाई की जांच जितनी करो कम है। आप इतने साल कैसे लड़ सकते हैं?
आपको
आजादी की सारी कहानियां याद होंगी।
So it's a great complement of characters and performances, and I believe that this movie will take the idea of biopic ahead. It is not theatrical, but it's dramatic and it's gripping. And we are not talking about the art cinema where you keep on watching the water boiling for 2 minutes. ऐसा नहीं है, So I think I'm very hopeful that this movie kind of pushes the envelope.
आपकी बातों से ऐसा लगता है कि इस फिल्म को लिखने का या जो उसका बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है वो आपका नहीं बल्कि अनंत का खुद था, और इस पे आपके पास चॉइस थी कि आप फिल्म लिखेंगे या नहीं लिखेंगे, लेकिन आखिरकार आपने लोकेशन पर जाकर सब्जेक्ट से मिलने के बाद ये तय किया कि आप लिखेंगे इसको। क्या फिल्म लिखने का कोई आपके अंदर पहले से भी कोई ऐसा ख्वाब था?
See, film ऐसा art, it is a complete art. See, I am a novelist. I have 4 collections of poetry, kavitha, sab, novel, poetry, columns. But here what happens is, in movie mein, you don't see it in terms of descriptions. You see it in terms of scenes. So it becomes a greatly collaborative effort. So script mein, suppose I say, Gaur Haridas turns and looks at the sky, looks out of the balcony. Now, cinema, while you shoot karne ke samay, when you turn around, and Vinay Pathak now interprets that turning around. There's a pause there, he's turning around. There is a whole body language coming into the frame. So I am just writing one instruction there in the shooting script, but it's interpreted by the director and the actor. And that makes it a much more powerful thing, because it is not done in isolation. So when I write poetry, my next collection of poems is coming up called Repeat Radio. So I know what I'm talking about. Morning I sit down in my house in Bombay and I start writing. It is a completely exercise in isolation. It is an isolated exercise. खुद के लिए लिखते हैं, खुद के लिए पढ़ते हैं. ये अलग activity है. It has a, you have to refer constantly to the director. You can't write it in secrecy and say that I'm written a good scene now. It has to impress the director. It has to inspire the director to say, this is the way to visualize it. So a script writer writes what can be done on page. The director gives you how to visualize it. So a very good scriptwriter just gives you, the director, a lot of inspiration in terms of how to go about it as well. So it is a great art, because you tend to learn a lot of things, and although it was my first effort, I finished it in 3 months. Technical thoda shots, jump shots, those shots I think Anand Mahadevan helped me also. But roughly speaking, I think I'm pretty good at it, because I normally write very visually in any way. So a novel see, as you write a novel likhne ka samay, you will see that you need to have a very consistent, strong, logical narrative. Logic has to be there in fiction. And in poetry, kavita mein, you need to have the visual phraseology. You have to see the visual thing. So both come in together in a movie like this, in a good movie and a good script. So I think I'm pretty good at this sort of thing now. I'm working on another project actually, so I like it, yeah.
क्रिएटिव राइटर्स को हमेशा ये शिकायत रहती है कि जब वो फिल्म के लिए लिखना शुरू करते हैं तो उनका लिखा हुआ फिल्म में ट्रांसलेट होकर कुछ का कुछ हो जाता है. आपके साथ क्या एक्सपीरियंस है खास तौर पर?
I did most of this in English. English में लिखा सारा के सारा shooting script, and it was translated. But the Anand Mahadevan was with the translator all through. So it was very faithful to the original phrases, And in fact, when it's going abroad, for example, or it is going for the Kerala and Chennai international festivals, the subtitles actually the lines from my script. So there is no real disconnect there. But it's true that in Bollywood in general, the scriptwriter is not much valued. So respect nahi hai. When you write something, then the superstar will come and say, it's not working for me, and then you will change it onto the thing. In my case, it has been a very happy experience because the director was very faithful to the script, the translation was done very well, and the subtitles are originals from the script.
ये तो हुई आपकी इस फिल्म की बात जो कि अभी 45th इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल में रिलीज़ हो रही है। इससे अलग जो आपका लिखने का ख़ासतौर पर आपके पोइट्री है, आपके नावल हैं या आपके कॉलम्स हैं, इनको लिखने का जो ये एक लंबा स्पैन है, इसमें कौन सी ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो आप जिनसे कंटिन्यूसली कन्फ्रंट कर रहे हैं और कुछ तलाश है आपको?
See, I am a terrified person. Terrified means I'm afraid that I could be falling dead any time. I find every moment of my life as the last moment. So, a writer's whole thing is the immortality stake. How do you stay alive for years and years beyond your physical decay? So language is one way of immortality. Whether you will reach there or not is a different question. So of late, when I was young, I look young, but I am not very young. When I was young, I used to find time stretching ahead of me like an infinite thing. That is no longer the case now, because now I know that it's all getting limited. So I write now at a furious pace. In fact, in the last 4 years, I've done about 2 screenplays, 2 novels. One novel is going to be released in Jaipur in Jan. It's called Tears of the Crying Squad. I have done nearly 70 poems in the last 100 days for this new book. And I edit a paper. So I work about 16 to 18 hours because I think, there is no time to waste or lose. But I find that now that I've come back to poetry after an 8 years gap, some of the poems had come in Outlook magazine a few weeks ago. I find, in retrospect, I think fiction is much more difficult for me than either poetry or screenplays. Fiction takes a lot. It's like marathon running. Keep running for 26, 64 kilometers. It's like that. It's an athletic labor. You work 4 to 5 hours of writing, and it has to be really of some standard. It's a tough job.
आपने कहा कि लिखने के ज़रिए आप उस इमॉर्टैलिटी को तक पहुंचना चाहते हैं। क्यों आप इमॉर्टैलिटी चाहते हैं?
What else is there? It's like if suppose time is a cliff, see if it's a mountain. Words are your footholds. This is the only way you're going to hold on to the cliff, and you're slipping down all the time. So the stronger your words, the stronger your language, more jabardast hai aapka writing, aapka poetry, the more you're able to hold on to that cliff. What else is there? We can all drive a car, take a dog for a walk, eat, go to the mall. But in language, it's different. Language, movies, it shows you a certain insight into reality which other people are not aware of. So the same sofa, where you are sitting here, and then someone is able to show something else, that sofa in a different angle, say. and the sofa doesn't look like a sofa. The sofa looks like somebody's arm, for example. So then you are actually looking at time from different perspectives and making shape and meaning out of it. So I think there is creation there, and I think primarily it is beauty. You are creating beauty, and only human beings can do it. So it is through beauty that, which is the reason why Keats talks about beauty, forever and all that. In the, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. That's because actually, in language, in movies, you are shaping things. You are creating beauty. So the more beautiful it is, probably the more truthful it will be, the more lasting it is going to be. There's nothing else there.
देखिए सीपी, हम एक सोसाइटी में रहते हैं और उस सोसाइटी में जो इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप, उसका इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर, उसमें प्रोग्रेस का एक स्टेज, ये सारी चीज़ें भी हमारे एज ए इंडिविजुअल हम उससे कन्फ्रंट करते रहते हैं। एक कि सिर्फ हम अपनी इमॉर्टैलिटी तलाश रहे हों, दूसरे कि हम सिर्फ कुछ ब्यूटी कार्व करने की कोशिश कर रहे हों। जिस समाज में हम रहते हैं उसको लेकर एक राइटर, एक पोएट के तौर पर आप कैसे रिएक्ट करते हैं?
I understand your question. बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. See, it is going to, it's a very problematic question because, in the contemporary society, what's happening is that हम दूसरों को कैसे देखते हैं, whether he is a success or a failure. That is how we look at it. Every moment we are all judging each other. So, in India especially, it's a society which worships success. Success, Lakshmi is more preferred than Saraswati for some reason. So in a situation like that, what happens is that your creativity will take a back seat, and your gentrification will take a more prominent place. And what do I mean by gentrification? Gentrification means you become a gentleman. Means that you will have on your house, you will have a car, you will have a bar, you will have your children, properties. Once you get into it, it's very difficult to look at anything from a different perspective or different point. So I think a truly creative person will fight against his own gentrification and try to create value out of his resistance to it. I think, but on the whole in society, even if you are talking about writers now, most of them write for prizes, most of them write for some awards, which is very good actually. But activities beyond prizes and recognition. That is what you are. It's your essence. So if you are not able to make use of that, able to fight and give shape to that essence, I don't think you are of much value to humanity in the larger framework, because anybody can buy a car, no? So that is not the point. What you create is the point for me.
सीपी, जैसा कि आपने खुद कहा कि आपके फादर एक बहुत रिनाउंड राइटर थे, वो एक रेशनलिस्ट भी थे और एक लेफ्ट एक्टिविस्ट भी थे, ये सब अब खुद उनके लाइफ के एक्सपीरियंसेस के बेसिस पर आपने बजाय उसकी कॉन्टिन्यूटी में आगे जाने की उसका कोई एक क्रिटिकल कोई रास्ता आपने चुना या फिर क्या है?
हाँ, मेरे पिताजी वो मलयालम में लिखते था. He was a writer in Malayalam, but his problem was that he had my relationship with him was not very happy. I was also very fairly strong individual, and so was he. But I think his discipline, for example, he goes into a room and writes an article, or he has written 41 books or more than that. He was a journalist himself, he was an activist. So I think the sense of order and discipline have come from him. And I think I'm very thankful to him for that. I'm very grateful to him, and I don't think that I acknowledged his greatness or his relevance when he was alive as much as I do now. That's a mistake I think most children make as they grow. It's only later that they realize that, you know, we should have behaved much better than that. So the discipline, organizational need, skills, sense of purpose, I think I've got from him. Samana to aage badhte rehte hain, so that's the way it is, you know, like material comforts, more, prosperity. People are getting more. I can see that people are getting more food and more cars and more movies to watch. On the whole, we are progressing, but I think our problems is not really progress. Our problems are that we are not a very value-oriented society. That's a big problem because we don't believe in creating values. We believe in selling assets and making money. So, which is the reason why in the last 20 years or 30 years, India has not produced one big idea. The last greatest idea that India produced was Satyagraha. Right? After that, we have no big ideas. The big ideas come from America, Europe, Pakshim log se aate hain ye sab. We don't have that. So, and why is that happening? Because we do not believe in actually beauty, we do not believe in values, we do not believe in creating assets and then hoping that someone will appreciate and buy from us. Which is the reason why the entire IT industry is nuts and bolts. Big ideas are not there. So that is something which we have to address, to be more creative, to be more open-minded, to be seeing things in different light, because life is infinitely richer than we think it is.
और बिल्कुल आखिर में आपसे सीपी ये पूछेंगे कि एक पोएट के तौर पर किस बात को आप बार-बार अपनी पोएम्स में लाना चाहते हैं?
Mostly it is death, mostly it is time, mostly it is I think a sense of I would think a sense of bleakness about aspects of life. So I think I'm constantly aware of death, I'm constantly aware of time. In English they'll probably call me a chronophobe. Chrono means time, phobe means someone who hates it. So I'm a chronophobe, so I'm constantly aware of time going, so it's a very panicky kind of life I lead. But I think fundamentally I think it is death, time, I think to a great extent sex as well. So these are the basic factors which I think guide my poetic conscience. But how well I create it, what the beauty I create out of it is, I think, is my challenge.
ये जो टाइम को लेकर क्रोनोफोबिक ऐसी कोई कविता हो तो आप हमारे लिए प्रोग्राम के आखिर में कुछ सुनाइए.
In this book there are actually about 39 poems which I wrote on my father. So this is one of the poems on my father. It's called Catafalque. Catafalque means those death processions. It's a very short poem called Guest. And the days pass into weeks and months into years, and up the winding stairs approach footfalls, growing loud like heartbeats in our ears.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, CP. ये थे CP सुरेंद्रन, फेमस राइटर, पोएट और जर्नलिस्ट. गुफ्तगू प्रोग्राम के बारे में कुछ कहना चाहते हो तो हमें लिखिए feedback.rstv@gmail.com पर.